So, Tom, I guess we can start by this hot mic moment caught Justin Trudeau at this big economic summit or a meeting in Toronto, saying that, like a lot of us, I think, this idea about Donald Trump talking about Canada as a 51st state is not a joke. He's taking it seriously. I'm curious, what your thought of that.
I've been saying that for some time, and I've been pointing to what he wanted in terms of resources. Mr. Trudeau is zeroing in on what he calls critical minerals. If you know the other place that he's been talking about quite a bit, which is Greenland, they have some of the largest supplies in the world, potential resources of all of these critical minerals. That's the number one reason he's talking about Greenland. He always says it's a question of United States security. So, I believe he's serious about Canada, whether it's about strategic minerals or something that he considers strategic, access, especially in the western part, to those watersheds and large sources of water from Canada to bring, as he says, down to the parched southern states. Now, there's no such thing as climate change or global warming. Donald Trump will tell you that. But for some reason, everything is parched down there and burning, so he still needs water, and he figures he should be able to just tap into as much as he wants in Canada. Under the existing trade rules that Jean Chrétien was prudent enough to put in place, Canada is allowed to ban bulk water exports, which we have done. So this is obviously something that Mr. Trump is going to be looking to renegotiate when he puts the CUSMA, the current Canadian-U.S.-Mexico trade deal, on the table. He's going to be also gunning for Canada's what we call supply management system, which allows farmers to get a decent price for eggs, poultry, and dairy. They don't like that because they want Americans to be able to come in with their big conglomerates and start selling and beating our prices here, which would, of course, demolish our family farms.
Tom, hindsight being 20/20, look back on that, and it's been up on the internet for a while. This idea, Donald Trump at the end of the last NAFTA agreement, the thing that started CUSMA, right?
Yeah.
Suggesting the trade deal he had just negotiated was the best trade deal of all trade deals ever negotiated anywhere.
In the history of the known universe, yeah.
So you kind of wonder, even if you believe that this issue about Canada as a 51st state is not just a joke, how do you prepare yourself for this? Like, what do you do?
Well, I have to say that Justin Trudeau has been playing by a rule book that is absolutely classic, well prepared, and well executed. I could do without his preachy tone sometimes, but the very idea of bringing together 150 or so of the top people from labor, from business, from all spheres of activity in Canada, having a closed-door meeting, making sure that some parts of it leak out so that the public is following it and they understand that this is something to be taken seriously. I think that Trudeau was also right. Some people criticize him for it, Aaron. I think Trudeau was absolutely right to go down to Mar-a-Lago and meet Trump right at the beginning. Now, Trump boasted about that a few days later on the air, saying, all I had to do is scare him a bit, and 15 seconds later he was down here. Fine, but that's how you play Trump. What did they do this week? Oh, Mexico said 10,000 troops at the border. Oh, how many are we going to put? 10,000. And we're going to have a fentanyl czar. We account for 0.2%, 1/5 of 1% of the fentanyl going into the States. Doesn't matter. This is what Trump wanted to hear? Sure, we're going to play the game. I think that that's exactly the way to play Trump. He's an egomaniac, and you tell him that he's so powerful that everybody's jumping and playing to his tune.
Yeah, well, I kind of go along with that. I think this idea of a fentanyl czar, and I think I heard today they're talking about it again, like, hey, Canada, why aren't you already doing this? You know what? Give someone the job and call it a day. That's a win for Donald Trump, and it cost us nothing. So why not? I agree with you from that perspective.
Sure. There are lots of failed politicians. I don't know. Give it to somebody who's not running again and make him a czar. Wouldn't that be great? You wake up one morning and you're a czar.
Yeah, I'd like to be a czar.
I think the two of us,
we'd be
you
co-czars.
Take fentanyl, I'll take critical minerals.
Perfect.
How's that?
All right, let me get a hold of Justin, and we'll see what we can do. I think that'd be great. Listen, I want to talk about the other issue today, just really quickly, and we talked about this with the CTV reporter, this new Nanos poll that shows, of all people, Mark Carney is who most Canadians, and by the way, to be fair, most is only 40%, it's not 70%, but they think that Mark Carney is the best choice right now of any political leaders, and he's not even a political leader yet to deal with Donald Trump. What did you make of that?
Well, people had been talking down Mark Carney. The Conservatives have been trying to spin against him, knowing that he was going to be a really strong adversary, and it looks like he is. We had a Léger poll here in Quebec that showed that his arrival as leader of the federal Libs would be at absolute game changer for the Liberal Party. They'd be way ahead of the Bloc Québécois. And so this is the same type of confirmation we're seeing here. People like what they're seeing and hearing with Mark Carney. It's not to take anything away from Chrystia Freeland, who's an outstanding administrator, but this guy, even though he's never been elected, has done things in times of crisis. You know, he was there for the 2008 crisis. He was there for Brexit. This guy knows how to handle an economy in tough times. And that's exactly what people are looking for right now, a steady, experienced hand. Against that, Pierre Poilievre really comes across as inexperienced with not much on his CV. Look, Poilievre's going to go after him. They're going to attack Carney. They're going to come up with a name for him. But right now, Poilievre is looking at the two pillars that he was making his campaign on. One was that his attack, you know, he was going to run a campaign against Justin Trudeau. Trudeau's gone, or at least he will be by the time the election takes place. The other thing was the carbon tax. That's gone because all the leading candidates have said, no, we're going to dump the carbon tax. So what's left? Personal attacks. And it comes across as quite hollow to hear Pierre Poilievre say that Mark Carney is an elitist and a globalist. Look at the guy's CV. Governor of the Bank of Canada, Governor of the Bank of England, CEO, chairman of the board of some of the largest investment funds and investment companies in the world, and jobs at the highest level of the United Nations in environment and sustainable development. What is the curriculum vitae? What's the resume of Pierre Poilievre? Politician. So they don't even compare, and Canadians are starting to twig to that fact.
Let me just deal with what's happening here municipally. We found out, I'm sure most people don't know who she is. I know you do. Sonia Martinez-Ferrata, who was our tourism minister. She's resigned that post. She wants to run for mayor. So who is she, Tom?
She's one of those politicians who just keeps her nose to the grindstone and works really hard and develops networks. And she's got networks. I've got people writing to me after I'd spoken with Andrew about her this morning, people that I've known in politics and in public life writing to me saying, I want to set up a meeting with you, with her. You know, we're going to be backing her. So already she's coming to this game with a lot of strong people. She has a reputation for being a really good manager and a really good person. Now, I'll give the really good person nod to Valerie Plante. She is a very good person. Her heart's always been in the right place, but I don't know a single person other than another member of the party who would say she was a good manager. So I think that the city of Montreal is a mammoth undertaking. It's billions of dollars of budget. It's many orange cones and sites all across the city that need taken care of. I think that she might turn out to be one of the more interesting people to take on Projet Montréal, because I know that there's some talk that somebody who was at the Chamber of Commerce might run. That's fine. But if you don't know how these things work and you don't have a political team with you, because you don't get a political team just because you've been at the Chamber of Commerce. She understands politics. She knows about door-to-door. She knows about building lists, getting people on side. So I think that not only is she a decent administrator from everybody that I've talked to, but I also think that she knows politics. So that might give her a real fighting chance.
Last question. So we found out this morning the Liberals basically told Denis Coderre, thanks but no thanks. And I asked James Mendy the same question. Is there any chance, do you think, that he decides, you know what, the game's not over, and he'll come back to run municipally?
No, I don't think there's any chance he'll come back to run municipally. I don't think it's ever going to be over for Denis Coderre. He doesn't know how to take a message. I mean, you know, he was thumped twice by Valerie Plante and didn't get the message there. He decided he was going to take over the Liberal Party somehow. And, there were two former MNAs that were not very well known, to say it kindly, who were backing him. They both walked away at some point, so, from what I'm told. So he's got a delightful spirit. Really, it was fun to watch. He would have brought a lively side to the debates and such. But when you're running to be the leader of a party and you would hope premier of the province, one of the basic things is having your taxes paid. Yeah. That wasn't the case. He said he had a deal to perhaps pay them, but it turned out that was less than clear. So I wish him well, because there's a lot to like about Denis Coderre, but somebody close to him should just put their arm on his shoulder and say, Denis, c'est fini, la politique. But
Tom, what about...
I don't think it's a message he's going to get.
What about fentanyl czar? No, let's leave that there.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. Okay. Tom Mulcair, have a nice weekend. Thank you, Tom.
You too.